Hello everyone, so this would be the first video in the playlist about the AMDP system, the psychopathologies, and this is part, basically the first group of the 19 subdivisions of the AMDP system, and it's the most important one. Why is this one is the most important one? Is because it's about consciousness. So, in medicine, it's not like in philosophy. We do not give a definition to what consciousness is. Rather, in psychiatry and neurology, we give definitions to when we have pathologies or problems with consciousness. So, we describe the negatives of what it is not to have 100% healthy consciousness. And it is important because the rest of the pathologies that we will discuss will not be able to elicit them, or we will not be able to ask them if the patient has problems with his consciousness. So, for example, we cannot ask a patient if he has delusions or he have hallucinations, if he is acting like he's drunk or he is not conscious at all. So it makes sense. That's why I decided to start with this one. So there are four pathologies basically according to the AMDP system, and the first one is a qualitative one. The rest are quantitative one, and the rest of the three are qualitative ones. The first one is in English it's called Vigilance, so lack of vigilance. In German it's Bewusstseinsverminderung, and basically it means if the patient is awake or not awake. This is the wakefulness of the patient, and on that it's like a pyramid. My open arts always states it's like a pyramid. If this one's not present, the rest falls down. We will not be able to actually do our proper psychostatus for a patient. So in a light form of grading, it would be that the patient will be able to respond to you like he's in a drowsy state, like a sleepy state, but when you call his name or her name, she will look at your direction and she will respond to you, kind of. Severe form, the patient is totally knocked out, is not responsive. If you do stimulation by pain, so you in neurology you put your finger and you rub the patient between in the gabula, between the eyebrows or in the nails, to elicit kind of a response from the patient. If it is responsive, so it's a severe form of Bewusstseinsverminderung or vigilance of the patient. Now we move, if we say okay, the patient is awake, let's see how can we describe the rest of the pathologies of the patient when he is awake, but he's not 100% conscious, like 100% in a conscious way that he can explain and talk to you in a way that a awake normal patient would be talking to you. That would be number two, cloudiness of consciousness, which is Bewusstseinstrübung in German. So I like to think about it as in terms of intoxications, even though it can happen in different forms as well. In this, when you know somebody that got drunk, in the beginning is tipsy, so this would be a light grading of it. The patient is not responsive 100% to the environment in a way that a normal person would be responding, but you're still able to have a conversation with the patient. He's not able, but his experience of the world is clouded. Then the severe form would be very similar, but then the patient is totally not with you. You talk to him, but he's like, oh, okay, responding, but not 100% there. This is like when the patient is at 3 a.m. very drunk and is not able to respond to any of your questions. Yeah, so that would be that. Then we move to number three. Item number three is very, how do you call it, narrowed consciousness. Narrowed consciousness basically means that the patient is so focused on one thing that it's very hard to break his consciousness, his awareness, and lead him back to the conversations. This can happen also in normal cases. For example, after a car accident, somebody has a car accident and is like in this shock state where you talk to the patient and is still in that how do you say, zone that he's not aware of his environment. and he's so focused on what happened with his within his accident. And then when the police come and they start talking to him, okay, he breaks up and is able to report a little bit. So in the very light form, it would be more that the patient is very focused, but then when you talk to the patient, he's still be able to easily break from that focus on that thing and come back to you. But in the severe form of when we grade the patient, that's severe or light. So in the severe form, the patient will not be able, he's so deep into his experience or inner experience that he's not able to give you any attention. This actually have an example of a patient that I had, a schizophrenic patient that was hearing voices in his head. And he was so psychotic and so inside his head that we were talking to him, talking, but he was so deep in listening to the voices in his head that he was not listening to anything we were talking about. Sometimes he would look at our direction and nod or something, but you can see that he's basically very, very like hypnotized or kind of inside with his inner conversation that he's having probably in his mind with the voices in his head. So that would be Bewusstsein, Eingebung, and which is narrowed consciousness. Okay, the last one, the extreme would be the Bewusstseinsverschiebung, which is expanded consciousness, and in that case, the patient experiences consciousness where everything is more colorful, everything is more, like the sounds are more vivid, maybe the colors are more vivid and the sounds are more out there, yeah? And this would be an example of a patient that is manic. Everything is like, he has like this, like a feeling, very feeling of being grandiose. He's talking fast and he's thinking fast, but he's also experiencing the world in a way that other people are not experiencing it. That everything is bright, he's getting ideas. That would be under this category. How do we grade it? So we grade it when a patient is only reporting this kind of experiences during the conversation to be a light one, but when the patient, you can actually see and you can feel and you can hear the way that he's describing the world during the conversation, then it would be a severe form. Okay, that's it for disorders of consciousness. It's a very short one. I didn't go into details and I think it's not needed at this point, but I hope it was helpful for you. And yeah, see you in the next one.